Hey friends, this week starts our school year Bible reading and reflection guide. And today's reading, I'm recording the 29th of August on Tuesday, is Luke chapter 2. And after first Luke tells the very well-known account of Jesus' birth, with the angels, the shepherds, no room for the inn, and all that stuff, it says in verse 22 that Jesus was brought to the temple in Jerusalem to be consecrated to the Lord. Now, this would have happened when Jesus was around 40 days old, because a woman who just had a son was considered ritually unclean and therefore not allowed near the temple for 40 days after the child was born. By the way, for a girl, it was twice that amount of time. Why? I don't know, but that's how they did it. And one of the people who greeted Jesus there at the temple is a man named Simeon. And Luke says that somehow it had been revealed to Simeon that he would not die until he'd seen the Messiah. And somehow, again, we don't precisely how, when Mary and Joseph show up to bring Jesus to the temple, Simeon knows that this baby was the one. And so he praises God, and he quotes from Isaiah, the prophet, in chapter 40, saying this. He says, "My eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared in the sight of all people, a light of revelation for the Gentiles, for the glory of your people Israel." Now, most of the Jews at that time were waiting for a Messiah who'd restore Israel to prominence again, as this mighty warrior king like David who was going to drive out the Romans from their land. But what Simeon is picking up on here is this thread from Isaiah that God's salvation through this Messiah is going to be, as he says, for all people. And to make it really clear, it's not just for Jews. He says he's going to be a light of revelation to the Gentiles. In other words, people like the Romans, as well as other non-Jews. And as I noticed this, what really struck me is how, the longer we've been in church, the easier it is to think of Jesus as mainly being for church people, or for people who have a background in the faith, or who seem just more oriented toward things religious. But Simeon remembered what Isaiah had prophesied long before, that God's Messiah was for all people. So, who's someone in your world right now who maybe doesn't have much background in the faith, hasn't up to now shown much interest in the Bible or in church? Whoever that person is, according to Simeon, according to Isaiah, Jesus came to show what God is like to that person too. And so I want to encourage you to bring that person to mind and bring them before the Lord regularly. Ask God to show you how some of their longings and some of their needs are things that Jesus, the Messiah, is a big part of satisfying. And then do and say and be toward that person as God leads you. Because again, Jesus, who came as that little baby a long time ago, came for everyone, even those who right now don't seem all that interested in him. Thanks for your time today, friends.